All right. Well, now on to some new stuff. Uh, Forgive me if the audio in the last video and the audio in this video are a little wonky. There's been some updates, and I'm still working it out, trying to figure out what to do of how to make the audio best sound good for everybody. Because personally, I'm used to having good, crisp audio, and I like it, and I like hearing good, crisp audio. So, anyhow, please forgive me there. As you can see from the logo behind me, we're doing some what if. Finally decided to go ahead and do Disney Plus. We got Shang-Chi coming out in September. I got to get on the ball with some WandaVision, some Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and some Loki. Man, seems like it's gonna be forever watching TV, but it'll be fun. I'm gonna go ahead and do how I'm gonna do the what if stuff. This is episode 3 of What If that aired this week. So how I'm gonna do it is I am going to go ahead, and this particular video is going to have 2 additional breaks for episodes 2 and 3. I'm going to watch all 3 of them today, and I'm fixing to cover episode 1 now. Next week I will hit episode 4, and going forward it'll be episode by episode. For Falcon and Winter Soldier, and for Loki, and for WandaVision, I will probably break it up. I'll probably watch 2 episodes and then do a review, and then watch 2 more episodes, do a review. Just depends. I forget. I think there's like 10 episodes of Falcon and Winter Soldier, 10 episodes of WandaVision, so that'll work out good. Loki, I don't remember. Anyhow, I'll find out, and I'll do it accordingly. Either way, yes. For this one here, there will be 3 separate breaks, though. So let's just jump right into it. What if episode 1? What if Captain Carter? So that's. I gotta be honest. I didn't know how to react to that. I really and truly did not. She really surprised me. She really did. It kind of just surprised me all the way around with the way everything went. First and foremost thing that got me was the animation. Like, I watched the Minions. Okay, I will watch the Despicable Me stuff. I've seen Frozen 2, the most recent animated movie I've seen. I watched the Saturday Morning Minions thing on Facebook. I love that. That mess cracks me up. It's like 20 or 30 seconds long, but still, it's 2D animation and it's hilarious. For something that's a little bit more adult driven to me, the Animatrix would be the best adult driven cartoons that I could honestly say that I liked. This really did surprise me. I was very, very impressed with the animation of it, because it was very similar. It didn't feel out of place for me. It felt very at home for the animation style that they went with, as far as how it was. It felt similar to how the Animatrix was. I know it's different. There are going to be some people that are going to say it was totally different. No, to me, it felt very similar. As far as the story and how it started out, I thoroughly enjoyed the story. I thought the story was very well done. It paralleled Captain America, but then it branched. And when it branched soft at first, and then you could tell where things were shifting and changing gears. I really got to admit, I thought that was pretty cool. The fact that they had Steve basically in an Iron Man suit created by Tony's dad. We're going to call it an Iron Man suit. I know they called it the Hydra Crusher or Hydra Stomper is what it was called. But yeah, I mean, seeing Steve in an Iron Man suit, that, we all kind of wanted to see that anyways. I mean, it wouldn't have done to me. It wouldn't have been as good to see actual Steve Rogers, Captain America, Steve Rogers, all hulked up and built with all them muscles. Wouldn't have, it wouldn't have served a purpose because, I mean, short of flying, Steve Rogers basically is Iron Man. Let's just go with that. Captain Carter, I'm trying to figure out though the general that was involved. I don't know if he was supposed to be a different general from Tommy Lee Jones's character, or if he was supposed to be the same character. They just didn't get Tommy Lee Jones to voice him. I mean, getting all these high paid actors to voice their cartoon counterparts, it'd be a bit of a chore, I can imagine. But to be honest and fair, I really thought that the way they played that out was, that was, he played the straight jerk anyway, so it was okay. I mean, because dude was a jerk, I love Tommy Lee Jones as an actor, but he was a straight up jerk to Captain America whenever he got the serum. He's like, I was promised an army and all I got was you. I'm like, wow. And then this guy here basically says the same thing to Captain Carter. I was promised an army and all I got was a girl. And I'm like, dude, that's racist. Well, no, not racist. Excuse me. That's not racist. That's sexist. Let's clarify that. Sorry. Yeah, I had to take a minute on that. I had to take a minute and do a moment of self chastisement for saying that. That's not racism. That's sexist. That's totally so. He's like, I got an army and I asked for an army and all I got was a girl. Like, that's sexist. Yeah, really. But the time it came from. What do you expect? So jerks are gonna jerk, I guess, no matter what. But as it went on, the story itself continued to unfold. They didn't want her. They still looked at her as a desk jockey. They did not want her a part of it. And finally, it was Howard Stark who basically said, "Look, I have a present for you. They wanted you to wear this for USO stuff, but I made some upgrades." And I'm like, "Yeah, you did. Right on. Go ahead, player." So that was cool. And then to see him, she's like, "You're not very subtle," and to see him plop the shield down on the bar, it's like, yeah, not very subtle at all. That wasn't even in a box. He just toted that deal in. But to see her working in the manner that she did, and to see Steve, not resigning himself to kind of second banana, but to see him just accepting his role where he was at least he felt like he was at least a part of it. And then for Howard to basically come up with an Iron Man suit for him, and we're going to call it an Iron Man suit. I don't care who you are. That is a World War II era Iron Man suit. Call it what it is. If it can fly and if it is pretty much indestructible, it's an Iron Man suit. So yeah, but to see that happen the way it did, that was pretty cool. It still followed the story of the Tesseract and Red Skull the way Captain America, the first Avenger, did, which I enjoyed. Apparently, Bucky ain't gonna have, in Captain Carter's universe, Bucky doesn't have the metal arm. He was not kidnapped by Hydra to be reprogrammed into the Winter Soldier, so he won't have the arm. Unless something happens further down, which causes Wakanda to help him out. But it's almost like everything kind of changed big time, because at the end of the episode, and these are like 30-minute episodes, which is really great. I mean, I'm very pleased with the fact that they're only 30 minutes long, and no commercials. Yay! Commercials suck. I hate commercials. At least I hate commercials when in the normal episode on a TV show on normal television, you got like maybe 2-3 minutes of commercials, maybe nowadays. And then you go back to the show, as to where if you're watching certain shows on certain streaming things and you been cheap, and just haven't gotten the upgraded version, which I'm rectifying that slowly. But to actually have, specifically, I watch Gold Rush, all the variants, and I've been watching it on the Discovery app, and I'm fixing to switch to Discovery Plus because I can do it for like $7 a month or something like that for no commercials. The thing is, when you watch it on regular Discovery Go, there's like 7 adverts. I can watch a 10-minute YouTube video in the middle of these commercials. It's like, wow. So grateful there's no commercials. So it's only 30 minutes long. But yes, the very end of it, obviously Captain Carter basically saves everybody, unless, a la Steve Rogers. Except she didn't get frozen. It was very interesting. She ended up in a situation where she was the one who could save everybody from basically a gigantic octopus. That's really what it was. A giant octopus. Red Skull got his comeuppance early, like all the early. He when that octopus started coming through, it grabbed him like, see ya, sucker. So yeah, that was cool. But yeah, as far as it goes, for her to shove it back into the portal that the Tesseract created because Red Skull's an idiot, and then obviously it picked up very close to Thor: The Dark World, as far as a time frame would be concerned, where they opened a portal with the Tesseract, and then you see Nick Fury and Clint, Hawkeye, they're standing there, and this portal opens up, and these pieces of squid arms come flying out, and Captain Carter comes out with the shield, and she's carrying a sword that she grabbed from the castle and started lopping off tentacles. So I thought that was really cool. Overall, I kind of figured that there would be no need to say spoilers because I'm reviewing the episodes and giving my opinions and thoughts. Actually, believe it or not, if they wanted to make a Captain Carter movie, I would probably be on board with that. I probably would. I'd be like, yeah, let's watch this. One little thing I forgot to add, though. One thing I did forget to add was, what was his name? Oh, crap. Zevo? The one who put himself into the computer in Winter Soldier. Yeah, he actually, I believe, without actually going to the credits and looking, I believe he actually voiced his character, the actor that portrayed him in the movie, because he looked just like the guy. I think even the one who did Howard Stark in the movies, I think they even got him to come in and do a little bit of voice work because he sounded very much like Howard Stark. So it was nice to see that they got a lot of people back to reprise their roles. Obviously, there were some people, obviously Red Skull was not Hugo Weaving. Just letting y'all know that. So, but that was my take and my review of the first episode of What If. I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you do not have Disney Plus, I encourage you, spend $8, get it, and just at this point, you could spend $8, and for the next 30 days, you could power watch everything going on with Marvel. And they're still putting out episodes of What If, so it's worth it to you. Go ahead and get it. Not a paid sponsorship by Disney Plus or Marvel or none of that mess. Just, it's really cool. I'm glad I held off. I know a lot of other YouTubers, they were pumping out content for all these shows and everything else, and I'm kind of jumping in late on the party. But it's okay because now I've got it and we're going to do it right going forward. So as I start looking through and seeing what's there and everything else, and do not worry, just because I've got Disney Plus, no, I am not going to be buying movies and watching them at home. To me, that is the dumbest thing in the world for me to do financially. It just doesn't make any financial sense. Why would I spend that much money for me just to watch a movie? I can get out cheaper with a drink of popcorn and a movie ticket by just going to the theaters. So, that being said, thank you guys for watching. I am James, aka XG Wolverine. Please do not forget, like, share, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. And stick around for part 2, which will be coming up right after the little bit of a break. So, thank you for watching. Alrighty. That's what popped up at the end of episode 2. What if T'Challa became a Star-Lord was the name of that episode. So, yeah. That's kind of where we're at. I thought that one was fun. Just being honest with you, it was all the fun for me. He didn't dance to any of the typical Star-Lord music. As a matter of fact, he did not do anything Star-Lord-esque. I mean, he did at the very beginning when he was going in the quote-unquote the portrayal of Star-Lord from the beginning of Guardians. He did actually, utter the line, maybe you know who I am and everything like that. And then of course the dude's like, yeah, you're Star-Lord. Like, it was the exact opposite of how it was in the movie, which was absolutely hilarious. Chadwick Boseman did a very good job with this. I liked it very, very much so. I gotta be honest, I thought it was fun with the way he ended up getting to space. Like, they actually went back and showed him as a kid talking to his dad, and he basically had the same things like, we should, reach out to the outside world. And his father's like, no, the humanity's a dumpster fire. So, nah, we're going to pass on that. And, so then he's running along as a little kid throwing the spear, and it's, it's typical of what you would see. He throwing the spear, run, pick it up, throw it again. Well, then it finally goes through the I'm going to call it the shield for Wakanda. The spear goes through the shield, and then he runs through it as well to go grab it, because it's only a few feet on the other side. It's like, it's kind of like when you're a kid and your mom's like, all right, don't leave the yard. And, you hit a baseball and you don't have to jump a fence per se, but, the boundary line of your yard is there, and it only goes, say 4 foot into the wood line, which isn't really that bad. And yeah, then you're, yeah. And then Yondu shows up, and that's when it wasn't Yondu though. It was Yondu's lackeys. And when they brought him to, Yondu, it was like, do y'all not know what Peter Quill looks like? I mean, seriously, come on. Then they're the ultimate that's racist line. But they're aliens, so I kind of get it. But still, that's racist. Is, well, all humans look alike. I'm going, I don't think so, Scooter, but okay. That's the way you're gonna be about it. I did, whatever. So yeah, that's where we come in with that. And then, Yondu looks at T'Challa and he's like, you don't look afraid or anything like that. And T'Challa, he goes, what were you doing out there? Yondu does. And T'Challa's like, I want to explore. And then Yondu turns around and goes, how's about you explore the whole galaxy? And I'm like, Okay, it's a lot bigger than Earth. It's a lot more to explore. And then they have Nebula, who is a blonde, which okay, I can get on board with Nebula being a blonde. That's cool. But then the thing that kind of made me go, "Oh, you piece of trash." Thanos is a part of the Ravengers group. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, and the thing was, like, they basically turned the Ravengers into the Guardians. Like, they kind of turned into the Guardians, and they were, to quote a line from the show, they were basically Robin Hood. They were stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. So that was cool to see that they kind of were, Guardians esque. Um, with that, T'Challa basically took like the leadership role, even though Yondu was the captain of the ship. He says that T'Challa is the heart of the group, and a lot of the things that they did were all done and planned and based upon T'Challa and his thinking. So that was nice to see that his leadership was already more or less intact. The way he led Wakanda and whatnot as he was older in the main timeline. Then the quote unquote the reason why Thanos was a part of the group is because Thanos had the plan. His plan was the same in this timeline, where he was gonna just snap them fingers and just let the snap sort it out. And T'Challa basically is like, nah, don't do that, and showed him a better way. Where were you on that one in our timeline, T'Challa? We still have Iron Man. Thanks, T'Challa. Where were you on that, man? You could have helped out. Just saying. No disrespect toward T'Challa. T'Challa did what he could. And Tony did the right thing and sacrificed himself. But that really leads you to believe that since Thanos didn't snap, that in T'Challa's timeline, things are a bit different. So that means we still might have Mr. Stark. So for all of you hopefuls out there, seeing as how What If is playing around with the multiverse, I like the Watcher. He does just enough narration at the beginning to kind of dump you out into the thing and just let you know, okay, here's where we're at. This is what we're doing. And then after that, it's the show takes care of itself. He doesn't do a big exposition dump at the beginning. He kind of just it's like a story, and he starts out telling the story, but then the characters take over speaking the story. So it's almost like he's telling this entire story to us, but got the greatest voice impersonation going on ever. So the Watcher's really cool. I actually enjoy that part of it, and he's been in it since the first episode. I didn't mention it in the first episode, and I do apologize. But then you find out that the quote unquote the big bad for the Neo Guardians, I'm gonna call them. I'll just call them the Neo Guardians. The big bad for these guys is the Collector, and he is way ruthless. And having him as the ultimate bad guy, even Yondu's like, dude, this guy won't talk to you. You can't reason with him. He's not cool. He's not chill. This guy will dissect you and cut you up and sell your parts for scraps. I mean, that's literally the phrasing of how it goes. So then, of course, they all devise a plan of how to infiltrate the Collector's area and get dadgummit, what do they call it? Anyhow, it's kind of a moot point because what they were getting it for, they ended up not using it for. So it's kind of whatever, I guess. Instead of what if, it's whatever. And then as they plan their entrance into the Collector's area, it's the head of a Celestial. The severed head of a Celestial, which At first, I was thinking maybe Ego, the living planet, Quill's father. Maybe somehow that happened, but it it wasn't Ego. I'll get to that in a minute. But honestly, it was kind of cool the way they did this, and they infiltrated the whole place. And as they're infiltrating it, the plan is, all right, Star Lord he's in this box hiding, and then when the rest of the Ravengers cause a distraction, then Proxima Midnight realizes it's the Ravengers and sound the alarms. And then that's when T'Challa goes and he starts making his way through the place to find what they're looking for. And along the way, runs into, of all things, Howard the freaking Duck. Like, really? Well, we're doglegging back onto that guy, huh? I mean, he really he didn't play a big part, but he was there. Of course, as Howard the Duck does, Howard was getting drunk. So, and then he was, explaining to T'Challa where he needed to go. And T'Challa's like, I ain't got time for this, and just shoots the lock on the door. And then he pops out and like, yo, you just take me where I need to go. Well, then, of course, as people with ADHD do, they have Labrador Retriever Syndrome. Apparently, Howard the Duck's the same. And he gets sidetracked at a bar. And then all of a sudden, when they realize the alarm has sounded because doors start closing around them, T'Challa's like, yo, we got to go. And Howard the Duck's like, oh, come on, man. Happy hour just started. And I'm like, really? Oh, whatever. So that one was kind of funny. But they end up getting what they were after. It wasn't T'Challa that did it because he ends up being captured by the Collector and put into a cage after seeing a ship from Wakanda in like a hangar area. And the only reason he knew it was Wakandan is because he still had on it wasn't the panther suit stored within the teeth of the necklace. It was just a teeth necklace from Wakanda. And basically, Yondu basically told him that Wakanda had been destroyed, that a war broke out on Earth, Wakanda was destroyed. Well, obviously, as Yondu does, that was a lie. So we all knew that was a lie. It's very, very interesting how everything from that point changed. It still carried some of the parallels with the Guardians, but only in jest. As far as how Peter did versus what T'Challa's done. And then you start looking at how things are progressing forward. And then is like, they were, he was mad at him, but then it's like, I did it because you love to explore and you're like a son to me, yada, yada, yada. And so then, of course, Nebula comes in. She's the one that betrayed them, which caused T'Challa to be captured. And once they were all put into a prison holding cell, one of the guards comes and retrieves T'Challa, knocks him smooth out, and then puts him in a cage. And then his only way to get out of that cage is, you see, after Nebula has broken the rest of the group out by, going to their cell and then turning around and shooting the guard, she breaks everybody else out. And then they're like, well, what about Star-Lord? And she's like, don't worry, he's got a plan. And he takes the necklace and uses it as basically like brass knucks, breaks the glass, and then he gets out and starts fighting the Collector. Well, the Collector, he's hitting this little deal on his wrist and bringing out all these new fancy weapons. And one of the little Easter eggs that I caught was when he brought out the dagger first, on that same panel is Captain America's shield. So a little bit of wondering what happened there. That's pretty cool. And it actually was Cap's shield. It was not the Captain Britain shield, it was the Captain America shield. So that's kind of interesting to see. They didn't say anything about that. It just kind of, it was there. You saw it. Good for you. And then you sit there and Yondu comes in and he's like, I'm not gonna let my boy down. I'm gonna help him out. And so Yondu and T'Challa, they start fighting the Collector, and basically Yondu Cheshire Cats the wrist thing off of Collector's arm, and then they lock him up. Well, at the same time, there's another fight going on downstairs where everybody else in the Ravengers is trying to escape, and Thanos tells Nebula, "Go on without me. I got this. I'm mad." And he runs back and starts beating the brakes off everyone. Well, Proxima Midnight shows up and she starts going ham all over Thanos. And then, of course, Nebula sees this, and she only sees it after she hears Thanos scream in pain from where Proxima Midnight cut him. Nebula comes running back and just blasters him right in the face. Blasters Proxima right in the face. So that was pretty cool. And then they get out of there. Thanos picks up Nebula and totes her, and they're running as Nebula takes what they were after. It was like some kind of flakes of Eden or something like that, I think is what they were called. And she opens the vial and chucks it into the big brute's mouth. And then, of course, all of these vines start growing out and everything, and they're trying to consume everything in sight. So then they start running, and Thanos jumps on one of the vines, and then it carries him up, and they jump into the Ravager ship, and the door closes. And it was very similar to how Hawkeye, flying in Age of Ultron, caught the cradle that was carrying Vision. So that was cool. And then, of course, at the end, T'Challa and Yondu, they escape in the Wakandan craft that was there. And then as they're in space, they're on their way to rendezvous with the rest of the Ravengers. And Yondu's like, hey, you gotta follow your heart. You gotta go where your heart is. And so then they all end up back on Earth at Wakanda, and they walk into the throne room. T'Challa reunites with his dad and mom. And then, he introduces his surrogate family and the Ravengers, and they all are having a big feast in honor of T'Challa returning. Well, then you hear the Watcher saying, he starts speaking and talking about, while this family reunion was happy, there's another family reunion taking place that's not so happy. And then it shows Star-Lord standing there with his Walkman on, jamming out to some 80s tunes like he does, and he's mopping a floor in a diner. And then all of a sudden, Ego walks in and goes, "Hello, son, aren't you going to welcome your old man?" And then his eyes light up, and it is Kurt Russell's voice. So that was pretty cool. And of course, then it ends that way, and then it cuts to black, and then you see the black screen, and it says dedicated to Chadwick Boseman. So I thought that was very well done, very, very tasteful. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. If you have, stick around. We got one more part to hit, part 3, episode 3. And then this video of What If will be done. I know it's a little bit lengthy. I do apologize. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, leave comments. Tell me what you think. Is it good? Is it bad? Do you hate the sound of my voice already? Hopefully you don't. I love you guys. I am James, aka XG Wolverine, and I will catch you in just a moment. Wow. Like, I don't even know what to say about that. Episode 3 of What If the World Lost Its Mightiest Heroes. I don't know what to say. I mean, that's tough. It starts out with Natasha and Fury riding in a vehicle, and it falls in place canonically with what we would remember in Iron Man 2, the morning that Tony is sitting in the donut at Randy's Donuts, and Sam Jackson actually says the lines. I mean, it was an animated verbatim from the moment we see Iron Man sitting in the donut. It was a verbatim, line for line pull right from Iron Man 2. You know, sir, I'm going to have to ask you to exit the donut. And it, even had Downey Jr. say, I already told y'all I don't want to join your super secret boy band. And then it sit there and it skipped up to where, Natasha's standing there, and it didn't go through all the boring stuff of, I ain't say boring, but it didn't go through the whole spiel of, Fury telling Stark about Natasha and undercover agent for S.H.I.E.L.D. It did jump to the part where Fury said, hit him. And when she hit him, she injected him in the neck like she did in the movie, except he's like, what did you just do to me? And then, Fury's like, well, what did we just do for you? And then as soon as he said, what did we just do for you? Tony, as Iron Man, just falls on the floor and dies. So there's one down for the count. And then we move on to the next person. But before we move on to the next person, Natasha's she's arrested per S.H.I.E.L.D. protocols. Fury gives her the injection device that she used on Tony, tells her with her skill set that she can find out who did all this. And then she promptly escapes the van. In the meantime, Coulson picks up the trail and goes to where Thor's hammer is in New Mexico, a la Thor, the first one. It's pretty much, up until one particular part, it's pretty much right what we expected to see. And then we start seeing the guards being taken out one by one. Coulson finds one, sounds the alarm, and then Thor comes in. And that's where it's all basically pulled right from the first Thor movie. Thor comes in, and right as the lightning goes to strike, when Thor goes to grab the hammer, basically Clint, he's already drawed on him, ready to go, and that's when Thor is shot. And the unbelievable part for me was Thor was killed by an arrow. That was kind of the, how does that even happen? So then, of course, Clint was all shook up by it. He's like, I don't slip, I don't misfire. All these things going through his head. Expert marksman. He can do what he does. And so, yeah, for him to be basically accused of killing Thor, they didn't know who he was, other than he had great hair, and apparently, according to Coulson, smells like lavender. So, and then they got Clint in a holding cell. He's under watch. And then, Coulson's like, he hasn't talked to nobody. He doesn't want to talk to nobody. Fury's like, he'll talk to me. Fury goes to walk in there and tells him, kicks him in the leg. Didn't kick him hard, just kicks him in the leg, like, wake up. And he kind of falls over a bit. And then they call for medics. And then Clint dies. So now you're down 3 Avengers. And it's only Tuesday. I'm like, well, all right then. Then Wednesday pops up, and Widow ends up in Virginia at the same university where Dr. Banner and I forget her first name, but Ross's daughter are at. And Widow confronts Ross's daughter and says that she trusts that, she can keep the S.H.I.E.L.D. off the radar for this. Needs her to investigate and figure it out. And when Ross's daughter looks everything over, she's like, look, everything in here is fine. It was not tampered with in no way, except none of the serum got injected. So then they started, like, well, okay, that's just weird. Why didn't he get injected? Because this is back to where, Tony died. And then you go in and Fury and Natasha have a conversation on the phone while she's still there. And Fury tells Natasha that Clint's dead. And then she just wants to know who she has to kill. And Fury then tells her to find Banner and, get him and her to safe space. And she goes, I think I've already found him. And of course she had. She goes to a closet and goes to open the door, and lo and behold, Ross's daughter's like, no, I can't let you do that. And she's like, you can either let me do this or I'll make you let me. And then that's when the door eases open and Banner's like, yeah, that's not going to work for any of us. I'm like, true that, because once the Hulk comes out, it's over. It's game over, sir. So then they start having a conversation. Natasha is explaining to Bruce what's going on. And then all of a sudden, Ross and his troops and tanks show up. And in the meantime, Coulson's on his way back from a coffee run. Tip of the cap to Iron Man 2, because that was, something that Tony asked. Yo, can we get one of your goon squad to go down to the Coffee Bean for a Starbucks run? So yeah, that was kind of funny. And when he pulls back up, and they're still in New Mexico, mind you. And when he pulls back up, that's when you see the Bifrost opening, and it's depositing an army of Asgardian soldiers onto the field. And Fury sends his guys out, and they all roll up, and it's a big old stare down. Loki pretty much like, yeah, I'm here because somebody killed my brother, and I just want a little payback. So Midgard's got to be destroyed. It's like, all right, cool, no problem, we got this. Well, he proceeds to start destroying Earth by ice, as a frost giant apparently would. And finally, Fury convinces him to stop and buy some time, so that way he can, try to find out who's the one killing everybody, including Thor, because, that's just what they're all wanting at this point. They all want to know who's killing off these heroes and everything like that. And then you look at, then we start looking at Natasha. It's nighttime, and she's sitting in what looks like a library. And she's talking to Coulson on the phone and wants his password for the Avengers Initiative. And I started laughing, so I didn't get the last part of it. But his password is #Steve. I heart Steve, and then something else. And once I heard heart, I was dead. I was like, dead. I'm done. Instantly done. I know it's because Coulson's like a huge fan of Captain America. I know that, but still, it was hilarious to see that. I was laughing like a fool. So then Widow hears, she hears noises, and being trained, she's obviously got heightened senses. And as she hears the noises, she stands up, turns around, after figuring out that a woman who is dead for 2 years, logged into the Avengers Initiative 2 days ago. Yeah, a little perplexing there. Did she really die? Did she not really die? Well, then all of a sudden, Widow is fighting, for all intents and purposes, what looks like it's a cloaked person. I mean, getting the world beat out of her. I mean, just toting the beat down of a lifetime. And so, that fight ensues throughout the darkened library, and Widow ends up biting the dust. So now we're down 4. Prior to that, though, when the fight with the Asgardians was going on with Fury, and Ross and his men showed up where Hulk was at with Widow and Ross's daughter, that fight started all because a projectile of some sort, went through a window and shot Hulk in the shoulder. Well, shot Bruce in the shoulder. And then Bruce tells Natasha, you might want to leave. And he hulks out. He just goes into Hulk rage. And yeah, he starts doing what Hulk does, smash. And he starts smashing tanks, Humvees, everything else. And then midway through that fight, all of a sudden, Hulk just, he started getting bigger and bigger and bigger until he explodes. So Hulk's down. So we've lost Iron Man, we've lost Thor, we've lost Hawkeye, we've lost Hulk, and we've lost Widow. We've lost all 5 of the original Avengers, except for one. I haven't mentioned this one because this one didn't even make it on screen. But Fury is sitting there after he had talked to Loki. Loki basically said, I'm going to give you till next sunup on Midgard to find the person that did this. And he does. He goes and he finds him. But before he goes, he's sitting in a diner. Still in New Mexico, apparently. But he's sitting in a diner. And he goes outside to his vehicle. He reaches in the glove box and pulls out the pager. Now, for those of you who haven't seen Avengers Infinity War or Captain Marvel, you don't know what the pager is. But for those of you who have, you know what that pager means. He's fitting to call Captain Marvel. Well. He throws that deal back in the glove box, and he sits there and tells Coulson that you could appeal to a god or you could make a deal with the devil. Now, yeah, that line's been said in another show from a totally different franchise. It's not owned by Disney, but still. And then he goes up and he sees, I don't remember what it was called from Thor. I really don't, but it's that big, gigantic robot-looking thing that Thor ended up fighting in the first Thor movie, standing out front guarding the Ice Palace. Apparently, Fury walks up and says, "Soldier, what's your name?" And he lights up and everything. He goes, "I need to speak to your boss." Fury goes in, and then all of a sudden it cuts to a foggy San Francisco graveyard. You see the Golden Gate Bridge in the background. It clearly says San Francisco at the bottom. So then he walks up and he sees a grave where the marker says Hope Van Dyne. Well, we all know who Hope is. Hope is, she's Wasp. And basically, then you hear, crap. I just want to call him Michael Douglas. That's all I want to call him is Michael Douglas. You hear his voice, and how dare you stand over her grave and blah, blah, blah. Basically, then the story starts to come to light. Then the story starts to unfold even further, and it gets a little bit deeper. And we realize that every one of the Avengers who's been taken out was all taken out by Hank Pym. That was mind-boggling. He went in and injected something at the microscopic level that killed Tony. He did he hit Clint in the hand, which caused the arrow to be discharged into Thor's shoulder, which caused him to be killed. He went in microscopically and injected something in Clint, which killed him. he basically fought Black Widow, and killed her. He flew in on the spear looking thing that hit Hulk or Bruce, the arrow looking thing that hit Bruce, and injected something into his heart, which caused him to swell up great big and go boom. And then that's when all this came to light. And, then he sits there and tells Fury, you didn't care about her. And Fury's like, you're right. I don't give a damn about any of them. I was like, whoa, okay. A little rough, but okay, I'm with you. And then he starts fighting Nick Fury. So he's in the Ant-Man suit, a modified version. It might not even been the Ant-Man suit. As a matter of fact, it wasn't. It was yellow. What was the yellow one? Oh, man, I don't remember. I do not remember what the yellow one was. But anyhow, he was in a form of the Ant-Man suit. Might have been the Yellow Jacket suit, I think. And he's got the whole shrinking and growing and everything like that going on. And he's fighting Fury. And Fury's like dodging like this and, just sitting there. And as he flies in bug form, basically, Fury's punching him in and just knocking him back. And he's growing back to full size. It's a crazy looking fight, something that you didn't think that Nick Fury could do. Well, then all of a sudden, then Hank's like, wait a minute, how are you able to, at your age, keep up with me doing all this? And then all of a sudden, that's when it starts to enlighten you even more. Then all of a sudden, he starts multiplying himself. Well, isn't that special? Nick Fury can clone himself. Well, he really can't. Come to find out, after all the clones are laughing, then you see all the clones turn to Loki. And then you see all the clones disappear, and it's just Loki, and Fury walks up right beside him. So it was Loki fighting Hank Pym and everything like that. And then Fury's like, look, man, check it out. You can take him, get your hammer, and just bounce. And Loki's like, no. See, I actually thought about sticking around a little while longer. It's kind of nice here. And then, of course, it cuts to a scene at the United Nations, which shows up on Friday because they met Hank Pym on Thursday. Wednesday's when Widow and Hulk died. So, yeah. So Friday, you get the scene of the United Nations, and Loki walks up onto the stand and announces that all the nations of the world have agreed to stop fighting, and basically the Earth is subservient to Loki. Loki will now rule the human race. Well, then it cuts to a scene where Fury is sitting in a hangar with Coulson and all the caskets from all the Avengers who have died. And that's when Fury and Coulson have an exchange about, it wasn't about a specific team. It was just about an idea of bringing people together to defend the Earth. And then it cuts to a scene of Fury walking in a cave that has ice in it. And he rubs snow back and sees Captain America's shield. It's just one hand swipe and he sees the shield. And he says, "Welcome back, Captain." And all of a sudden it cuts to Captain Marvel standing there. So apparently they're going to get Steve Rogers and Captain Marvel together to move forward and fight Loki. And Captain Marvel showed up ready to rock and roll. She's like, who do we gotta go to town on? So, yeah, and that's pretty much how that episode ended. So I do apologize that this has been such a long, drawn out video. I know how long it is. I do apologize. But I really hope that you all have enjoyed this. I hope that this is something that you guys will enjoy, like, share, comment on, and everything like that. I'm looking forward to next week for episode 4 of What If, because right now this is the third episode, so this will be the end of this video. And I'm glad I can do these for you guys. I really and truly do hope that you continuously enjoy them, and I thank you for watching them. I don't know what else to say. Thank you. If you stuck it out through all three of these rolled into one, thank you. You are a trooper and a half. I'm very proud of you because I'm proud of myself for doing them all in one day, mind you, and not breaking it up like I initially thought I would. So that being said, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your kind words when they're left. I hope that I can continue to entertain you guys going forward. I'm sorry the content isn't every day or every other day or anything like that, but hopefully it's the old absence makes the heart grow fonder thing. Hopefully that, you know, we're getting into more movie reviews and show reviews. Hopefully you guys will enjoy this as much as you enjoyed the live streaming content. One of these days we will be able to get back to that. I don't know when. We're going to probably try some stuff in the next, I don't know. I'm not going to put anything to anything as far as trying to stream live. I'm not going to guarantee nothing. I did a 5-minute live stream and it ended very quickly. So, but that being said, thank you for watching. Please comment down below. Commenting down below helps me to know what direction I need to take this. It helps me to know, am I doing good? Am I doing bad? If I don't get comments, I really can't. Y'all have got to work with me here. I need you guys to comment on these things. Likes are fine. Watches are great, but comments really help me because I do read the comments. So thank you very much for your time. I am James, Ashy Wolverine. I'll catch you next time. Have a great night.